Hello and welcome to Emotion Life Online. We are continuing our look at the Holy Spirit and specifically the difference that the Holy Spirit makes in our lives. And so last week we looked at how the Holy Spirit is the giver of life, both in creation in the very physical sense, but also He is the giver of new life. He's the giver of a fresh start in Jesus Christ. And this week we're going to answer the question, how does the Holy Spirit help us? How does the Holy Spirit help us? And there are three specific ways we're going to very briefly talk about that. The Holy Spirit comforts, the Holy Spirit guides, and the Holy Spirit reveals. The Holy Spirit comforts, guides, and reveals. And to do that, we're going to look specifically at the words of Jesus. Towards the end of his time with his disciples, before his crucifixion, death, and then eventual ascension, Jesus is preparing his disciples for his departure. And in this time, the Holy Spirit comes up a lot. So it leads me to believe, and it should lead us to believe, that the Holy Spirit is an important part of the life of a follower of Jesus. That the Holy Spirit is one that I think you can't live as a follower of Jesus without the influence and the help and the presence of the Holy Spirit. So let's look at these three ways that Jesus says that the Holy Spirit will help his followers. So in the book of John, chapter 14, beginning with verse 16, Jesus says this, "I will ask the Father, and he will give you another advocate who will never leave you. He is the Holy Spirit who leads you into all truth. The world cannot receive him because it isn't looking for him and doesn't recognize him. But you know him because he lives with you now and later will be in you." And so there are two ways that Jesus describes the Holy Spirit in these first verses that we're looking at. First, Jesus describes the Holy Spirit as another advocate. Another term that translators of the Bible use is counselor. But it's kind of this legal sense, like a defense attorney, like someone who is on your side. The point that Jesus is making is that the Holy Spirit is going to be God's presence with his followers. That in the immediate physical absence of Jesus, that the Holy Spirit will be there, the Holy Spirit will be on the side of his followers, and that to me is comforting. We can take comfort in the fact to know that we are never ever alone, that God's presence will be with us from now and forever. As Jesus has promised, we can take that to the bank, that whatever we may face in this life, we can be comforted knowing that God's presence is with us. So the Holy Spirit comforts. Secondly, the Holy Spirit guides. In John, also looking at chapter 16, verses 13 and 14, Jesus tells his disciples this, "When the Spirit of truth comes, he will guide you into all truth. He will not speak on his own, but will tell you what he has heard. He will tell you about the future. He will bring me glory by telling you whatever he receives from me." So the Holy Spirit comforts, the Holy Spirit guides. Jesus knew that in the future his disciples were going to face uncertain times, that they were going to face difficult times, that they were going to come under immense pressure, and that they had a responsibility to carry on the mission of Jesus. But they didn't have to do this alone, and they didn't have to plot this course all by themselves, that the Holy Spirit would be with them to guide them, to help them make the right decisions, to move into the places that they needed to move to do the things that God needs them and wanted them to do to accomplish Jesus' mission here on earth. And that's the same for us as well. I'm so glad that when we face uncertain times, as many of us are even now in the middle of this pandemic, as we're facing these uncertain times, we don't have to do so alone. We don't have to do so to just figure it out on our own. But the Holy Spirit is with us to guide us into all these things, to show us the things that we should be doing and to be with us in those. And sometimes the guiding of the Holy Spirit looks like a nudge or a conviction or a feeling that we need to go back and make something right. Sometimes the Holy Spirit guides us to fix mistakes or problems that we have made. But the Holy Spirit is with us. The Holy Spirit guides us so that we don't have to figure out life alone. And lastly, the Holy Spirit reveals. In John 15, Jesus tells his disciples this, "But I will send you the advocate, the Spirit of truth. He will come to you from the Father and will testify all about me." The primary thing that I think the Holy Spirit does in our life to help us is to reveal Jesus to us, to reveal the good news of the story of Jesus, which means life and life with God for all who accept it. To reveal to us the good news of Jesus that is peace between God and humanity. The Holy Spirit comes so that we can make sense of Jesus' story and we can see how it applies to our life. Jesus, as we have said in previous messages, calls each and every one of us to be his disciples. He calls us to follow after him, not to have it all figured out, but simply commit to following him and being more and more like him. And it is the Spirit that shows us in our own life what it means to make the adjustments we have to make to be more like Jesus. We don't have to just look at the blueprint of Jesus and do it on our own, but we have God's Holy Spirit with us, present with us, there with us, comforting us so that we can face difficult times. We have God's presence there with us, guiding us so that we know the direction that we should take in accordance with God's will for our lives. And we have the Holy Spirit with us, revealing to us Jesus and the difference that he is making in this world and the difference that he wants to make in each one of us. I don't know what you need today, but take heart, take courage. The Holy Spirit is with you to bring comfort, to guide you in the ways that you should go so that you can follow the path of God's will in your life, and to make Jesus known to you and the power of his resurrection available in your life. And I pray that the Holy Spirit's presence and work would be evident in your life.